Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. So I'm back at Crichope Linn down in Dumfrieshire, a location that when I first discovered it I described as a forgotten gem, and I thought I'd return in springtime to see how it looked under slightly different conditions. So join me now as I take a wander up to the waterfalls and then further along the gorge. So the first thing I've noticed since the previous visit is it's a lot less forgotten. I've passed now, it's 4 people have passed. There was a few cars in the car park, so looks like it's maybe being rediscovered. I do hope so. It's a beautiful location and you really wouldn't want to see it be completely forgotten. And here we are at the arch again. There's not as much water flowing over the falls as there was before, but I'd say the light's probably slightly better. That's new. I like this line where you can see the sky reflecting in the gorge here. That's lovely. And it kind of forms a nice leading line with the waterfall at the side here as well. Right, I think, oh, there's a bottle there. Bloody hell. Right, that'll get cloned out. But this might well be the first shot of the trip. So I think on my last visit, the reason I said I wanted to come back for spring was because I believed that this was all wild garlic, but I don't think it is, because I've seen wild garlic in bloom in other locations in the last week. This is something else altogether. I have no idea what that is. If anybody knows, leave me a message. So if you watched the last video, you'll know I actually stopped around about here. I didn't really go much further into the gorge. I read though that there were some nice waterfalls and a lovely little stream further up. So on this visit I decided I'd explore a little bit more of the area, and I decided to head down this path and see if there was a way to actually get access to the gorge itself. And we have a path there, which might be worth following to see how far into the gorge that goes. No, dead end I'm afraid. Still about a 15-20 foot drop down to the bottom, so I'm not really going to risk jumping across there. That's a good 5 or 6 foot jump. That's a shame. Interesting angle. Yeah, this is looking quite nice, isn't it? I've got this little set of cascades. It's kind of been backlit just now because the sun's just off to the right. And in the distance, I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but in the distance there's a section where it's completely smooth. It's totally still on the surface. And I kind of like that contrast. And problems are, as always, the contrast. It's very dark here, and also that, I think it's probably a root, is kind of sticking out into the shot. I do like this fallen branch though, and this tree that's fallen across. And again, these plants, whatever they are, they're just catching the sun as well. And you've got that little hint of beautiful green moss down there as well. I think the water's slightly more than welly deep at this section, so I'll probably not climb in, but I'm going to get the tripod out and frame up a shot. Right, let me talk you through this shot. I've spotted these little daisies here, which I'm quite keen to make foreground. As you can see, they're just catching the light just now because the sun's just coming out of behind the tree. It's there. So I'm going to try and frame up a shot where I have those daisies in there. I also want to include this line of foliage here, and I want to include obviously the cascades, that lovely light in the background, and these fallen trees. Now my first problem is, as I'll show you here, I'll put it on a video mode on the camera. My first problem is that the 24 to 105 lens is just a little bit too large. It's not covering what I need. So I'm either going to have to set up maybe a 3-shot panorama where I shoot across, or probably switch over to my 16 to 35mm lens and see if that little bit of extra focal length widens the scene enough that I can include these trees. So this is a shot at 24mm. I'll switch over to the 16mm lens and we'll see how much of a difference that has made. Yeah, as you can see, the 16mm lens makes a difference. So I'm still focusing on these daisies, but because the lens is that much wider, I can now include the cascades, the beautiful light in the background, this foliage along the front, and also the fallen trees, which is what I had in mind as the shot to begin with. Do you know what? I think this might be wild garlic. There's a very strong garlicky smell, and I don't think it's me. It's a beautiful smell, but we don't have the flowers for some reason, unless maybe they've already bloomed and I'm a little bit too late. It's the end of April at the moment, I think 21st or something like that, April. Anyway, that's that shot taken. What I'm going to do is move a little bit closer to those fallen trees now, make the cascades larger in the frame, and see if maybe there's a square crop there. And then I'm going to move on to that really smooth bit of the water, just to see if there's any nice reflections to be had. But cascades first. Right, here we go. Here's the next shot. I've set this one up on a kind of vertical format at the moment, but I get the feeling I might crop this to either a 3x4 or maybe even a square crop. As you can see from the back of the camera, in fact let me put it onto video mode again. Yeah, as you can see, what I've done is I've focused on that cascade there, so dead centre. I like the way the mosses on the top side of these trees are being lit at the moment, and also on that fallen branch. So I'm going to try and work with them. The subject is obviously going to be the cascades, but the secondary subject, if you like, is going to be these trees and those beautiful greens. as a background, we've got this second set of cascades, and then still got that lovely light, that lovely flat area in the water just a little bit further up. Right, that's that shot taken. I'm going to I'm going to change lenses now, 24 to 105, and try and get the close-ups here. But as I'm sitting here, I'm actually sat on the sandstone, and I've just noticed that we have some bluebells up there as well. If you've seen my last video, which was the Riviera gorge walk, there was a lot of bluebells there, so it looks like bluebell season is upon us. Watch this space, I'll probably be back up to one or two of my favourite bluebell woods soon. Right, so once again let me show you the importance of getting the right focal length. This is the scene at 35mm, this is as long as the 60 to 35mm lens will go. And as you can see, the cascades still aren't filling the frame. Still not a bad shot. I kind of like the fact you just get a hint of that fallen tree above now, but it's not filling the frame with the cascades, which is what I want, because I think that might be a nice square crop. So I'm going to switch over again in my 24 to 105 and I'll show you the difference. I'll do that now. So here we go. This is the view using the 24 to 105 lens. Now the camera's in exactly the same spot. All I've done is changed focal length, and I'm round about maybe 75mm, something like that. So it could go a lot closer, a lot tighter, but I kind of like it with this angle because that branch that's leading down from the top right is kind of framing the shot. I probably will still crop it to be a square crop, but I kind of like that's a lot more intimate than the wide shots that I was taking earlier. Now, this is lovely, isn't it? I've came along to the bit where the water looked a lot flatter, a lot smoother, as you can see. Discovered this huge moss-covered boulder, which is just catching the light. It's kind of dappled across the surface. We've got some nice reflections in the water. Got this lovely little cascade here, and then in the background you've got another fallen tree and some beautiful greens which have been reflected in the water. So again, I think probably if I had to say what the subject was here, I'd say it's the boulder here and this cascade, but that backdrop is a very close second, so I'm going to try to keep the entire image in focus, because I may well crop later on and decide that I don't want this boulder in the foreground, I just want the beautiful background. So by making sure everything's in focus at this stage, I give myself a couple of options when I get back and get the image onto the computer. But this is beautiful. As before, in order to achieve it, I'm going to focus on the boulder and on these cascades, focus about halfway through the image, and then probably focus on that background tree as well, and take a couple of different exposures. I'd imagine we're a bit more open here, so I'm going to be guessing it's going to be about f11, maybe 1/20, 1/30, something like that. Still at 100 ISO. And yeah, so let's see what we get with this. Well, that was very fortunate. I was trying to take some shots of these little cascades, but even at ISO 50 and f22 it was still burning out when I tried to have any kind of long exposure. but the sun just for a split second there disappeared behind the cloud and allowed me to take the shot that I was after. So it just shows you pace to wait around, and right on cue the sun comes back out from under the cloud and the shots are overexposing again. These greens are incredible, aren't they? Look at that. Well, it actually looks like we're starting to develop another deep gorge. I was not expecting that. Yeah, climbing up again here as well. Yeah, I think we're climbing up out of the gorge again. Right, I'm going to stop here and I'll double back. I'll have a look on the maps when I get back, and if there's anything dramatic that I've missed, I'll make a point of coming back. Any excuse, right? This is beautiful though. Definitely recommend coming along. This is me back at the gorge, that's the gorge there. So yeah, back to the top of the gorge, and as you can see we've totally lost the light now, so probably leaving it at the best time. Back down to the level of the arch now. I'm going to head in, grab a couple of long exposures and then make my way along to the cairn. Have you ever finished at a location and even as you're walking away, while you're still there, you're thinking, I'm coming back here. Well, watch this space. I think the two absolute perfect conditions for this location would be the obvious, a bit of fog, and probably the also obvious, some ice, some icicles, or maybe even snow on the ground, or even just a hard frost. I think this place would look absolutely incredible in either of those two conditions. So roll on autumn and then winter. This could well be a 4-season location. So that's it for my second ever visit to Crichope Linn. Hope you enjoyed it. Definitely worth a visit, and don't do what I did in my first visit. Don't stop at the arch. Come further along. The woods and the falls just a little bit further are well worth the effort, and it's not particularly far anyway. It's maybe another 5-10 minutes after the natural arch, which is itself only maybe a 15-minute walk from the car parking spot, so it's not a difficult location to get to. Probably the ropiest thing is driving along the tiny narrow roads that we have here. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, give us a little thumbs up, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, bye.